This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I am the host on this podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspective, Spiritual Truths. Tonight, we're going to continue our journey as we the people. We have been focused on a specific path related to gaining a clearer understanding regarding how our nation is structured, how it's supposed to work. This beautiful flag behind me is a great symbol connected to our amazing nation. The seal right here, our presidential seal, is to remind us to pray for the president of this nation, the executive branch of our government. 2 Chronicles 7:14 says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. The phrase, my people, coming from the word of God, shall be called by my name. When he says, my people called by my name, conveys a sense of belonging and identity. Us flowing together as one. We talk about that more perfect union. It suggests that a group of people will be recognized and unified under a specific name, reflecting their shared values or allegiance. We're talking about the Constitutional Republic of the United States and lining it up spiritually. We have been so off track. And so what we're talking about is risk-provoking thought, bringing awareness, and us flowing together as one. That's what it means, forming a more perfect union to make us better. I'm continuing to pray for the 265,900,000 Americans who were identified as living paycheck to paycheck and barely making ends meet in 2024. That's 78% of working Americans. Are we out of the woods yet? That many Americans? I don't think so. It's going to take some time to get things rectified. Many are working 2 and 3 jobs just to survive. 79% of Americans felt the country was going in the wrong direction last year during the election. The majority of the citizens spoke loud and clear regarding their position of what is important in this nation, and they issued a mandate loud and clear. We had an election. We, the people, spoke loud and clear on what is really important in light of the dynamics being presented to us as a nation. I've repeatedly asked on this venue, who needs to be the leader of America? What is at stake? Does it matter who's in the White House? Well, that determination's been made. Where are we now? Some people are struggling with acceptance of the results. Can we move on as a nation? Let's look at some dynamics about that together. Whether people like it or not, Donald John Trump is the head of the executive branch of our government. We've got the legislative branch. We've got the judicial branch, the executive branch, legislative, judicial, executive. He and J.D. Vance are the ones that the majority of we the people chose in a GOP trifecta. The GOP not only regained control of the White House through the electoral and popular vote, they also won the Senate and also managed to hold on to a narrow majority in the House. That was a strong message. All of this evokes so many strong emotions in our fellow Americans. Some are elated, some not so much. So where do we go from here? My fellow Americans and my brothers and sisters, one thing that may be warranted for us to move forward in peace is emotional maturity. So many simply don't have certain levels of emotional maturity. It's just not there. What is emotional maturity? Emotional maturity is the ability to be honest about your feelings, build trust, and manage your emotions. It can help you communicate well, resolve conflicts, and maintain healthy relationships. A fellow American that I applaud as I saw him evolve in his display of emotional maturity is Charles Barkley. I want to talk about Mr. Barkley for a minute. I honor and applaud him. As stated by Barkley, subsequent to the election, he said this: I wish President-elect Donald Trump nothing but the best because, hey, he won the race fair and square. Barkley smashed Democrats in the Harris campaign for their devastating election loss. The NBA Hall of Famer also weighed in on how he is going to approach Donald Trump's second term as president of the United States. Barkley first congratulated President-elect Trump on his decisive 2024 election victory. When you win, you get to say what you want to. When you lose, you need to shut, and he said the H up. That H, y'all know what it means. That word's in the Bible, yes. He said, shut up. That's what Barkley said. He said, I wish him nothing but the best, but we lost. He has a podcast called The Steam Room, and he was just letting loose on there. I loved it because he was intellectually honest. He said this. He said, I don't think everybody who voted for Trump is racist or whatever. I'm not a fan of the guy, but he's the president. I'm going to respect the office. Imagine that. Respect the office. He said, I wish him nothing but the best because he won the race fair and square. He didn't do like Obama talked about rigging elections and weaponizing the Department of Justice. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Talking about the pot calling the kettle black. Barkley said, I hope that he realizes that 71 million people voted for Kamala Harris and that he does the best for the American people, plain and simple. Barkley, he went on in his podcast and he skewered the Democratic Party for what? Not having a game plan. He said, we lost. And I just want to say this to the Democrats, Barkley. He said, listen, I'm an independent who voted Democrat. Do me a favor. He said, shut the up. When you win, you get to say what you want to. When you lose, you need to shut the H-E-double hockey sticks up. Barkley's really strong. Now, he then listed the excuses because it's still going on and on and on. Why am I talking about it? Because it's still going on and on. He listed the excuses Democrats use to try to explain why Kamala Harris was soundly beaten by Trump in the election. He cited the Democrat talking points that Joe Biden didn't drop out of the race soon enough. We lost because we had no game plan, Barkley honestly said. The man's intellectually honest. We still haven't resolved the immigration issue. We still have no viable answers, never addressed inflation. Those were the two issues that caused Trump to win. And all this focus on my body, my choice and all that. People were not focused on that. He said bringing all these stupid stars out to rally the vote. That's what Barkley said. He said, what was that? He said, I love Beyonce. But he said, I love Cardi B. But that ain't going to get me to vote a certain way. That's Barkley talking. Barkley said Kamala should have had a better game plan going forward because of bringing celebrities around. That's not what people wanted. People wanted solutions, Barkley admitted. During a recent rant, he said, listen, I voted for Kamala, but we just didn't win. And you know what he went on to say? I love this because, see, you just got to be a truth broker and be intellectually honest, he said it's all our faults for not having a game plan. Trump had a game plan, and we're going to be dissecting some things because it was brilliant. And his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, and what she did, we're going to talk about that as we move along, because there are such nuggets to glean from it all as Americans and as a nation and being a winning team. He said, we're not having concerts and rallies. People want solutions. They want money in their pocket. They want the support, the border secure. They want to be safe. You guys lost because this is what Barkley said, as my 100-year-old mama. She'll be 101 in January of 2025. And she said, I'm just telling you what they told me. This is what Charles Barkley told us. He said, you guys lost because y'all stupid. That's what Barkley said. Come up with solutions, the 11-time NBA star stated. Barkley blasted Democrat cities for having rampant crime, talking about defund the police, have social workers to go in to volatile situations, not even armed. He said it was just unchecked shoplifting to the point that stores were forced to lock up their merchandise. People, they closed Walmart's down. Stores are closing down because people are running roughshod with no accountability. Barkley slammed anyone criticizing Auburn basketball coach, what's that man's name? Bruce Pearl, for casting his vote for Trump. He said, the next time one of you fools, Barkley, he doesn't bite his tongue, guys. Y'all know he doesn't. He said, the next time one of you fools or idiots or Jack, okay, send me an article about Bruce Pearl supporting Trump, I'm gonna, Barkley, he's kind of pointed. Listen, we don't advocate violence, but he said, look, I got something for you right here. That's Barkley. But he said Bruce Pearl can vote for who he wants to. Bruce Pearl, he said, as far as I'm concerned, he's got two jobs. And this is intellectual honesty. This is what it sounds like. Here are his two jobs: win basketball games and graduate players. That's all I care about. That man can support who he wants to. The former Auburn All-American basketball player continued. These people are out here telling me, if you don't vote for Kamala, you ain't black. Remember Joe Biden said that? You ain't black. I wrote a song about it. You can go on JanicePons.com and get that song, You Ain't Black. It's pretty powerful. God gave me the words immediately when he said that. What an insult. He said, just shut the H up. Shut up. People can vote for whoever they want to. Now listen, this was an about face, because in March of 2024, Barkley had a much different opinion about black folk supporting Trump. This is what he said back in March of 2024. He said, if I see a black person walking around with Trump mugs, T-shirts, any Trump paraphernalia, a Trump mug, what he said is, I'm going to punch him in the face. Well, we don't advocate punching. We don't have to do that. And then he scolded Democrats for only caring about black people every 4 years. He punches hard. Now, he has a co-host, Ernie Johnson. And he said that he voted for Kamala Harris as well. But Johnson said he wasn't surprised that Trump won, but he was bothered that some Democrats are now saying, if you voted for Donald Trump, I want nothing to do with you. I have experienced that personally. Wow. And you have to just decide, what am I going to do with that? What am I going to do with being treated disparagingly because of who I voted for? That's the part that we have to get over, Johnson said. The fact that you voted one way and I voted another, that we can never see anything eye to eye or never want anything to do with each other because we're getting nowhere that way. I'll never forget, in line with that, I never forget, I was just minding my own business and I had someone that I love dearly look at me and say, my mama hates Trump and you think he's God. If I've said it once, I'll say it again. Jesus Christ, the anointed one, is God. Yeah, the word became flesh and dwelt among us and we beheld his glory. Now, let's examine the dynamics further regarding why Trump won. All along, they were saying that Kamala was leading in the polls. God told me directly, yeah, I don't say it too much, but he said, look, Janice, they lying. He just said, I was minding my own business. It was like I was put under arrest. He said, they're lying. That's not true. She's never led. He said, she's not leading the polls. They lied over and over and over again. Now, let's look at something very specifically. Why did women ditch Democrats for Trump? Why? 54% of Latino men voted for Trump. As Joe Biden was lying about what Trump said about Latino, it was just all this mess. We were lied to over and over again, and it cost them. Now, why did women ditch Democrats for Trump? Democrats assumed women have an obligatory blind allegiance requiring them to support any woman running for office regardless of her policies. Not anymore. And I always say this on my social media platforms. Policies matter. Americans are tired of being told their intellect is limited by race or sex, especially women. Like other groups, women have long been taken for granted by the Democratic Party as if pro-choice talking points alone are enough to secure their blind loyalty to the rest of the party's platform. The View, you know that show, The View? The co-host on there, Sunny Houston. Listen to this now. Man, wow, what an insult to basic intelligence. She certainly thinks this is the case, calling Trump's victory, listen to this, a referendum of cultural resentment merely because Americans overwhelmingly refuse the policy platform of a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy. You hear that? You hear how wicked they are and how divisive they are? No, Miss Joy. No, that's not the case, Miss Houston. Miss Sunny. Joy is the other one. She just same thing. Just different face. They're as my mama said, they ate up. They're eating up. No, women didn't vote for Trump because they are so severe upon their own sex. The Sunny Houstons, I'm saying her name wrong. The Sunny Houstons of the Democratic establishment, they refuse to engage in serious self-reflection that could explain the surge of women and other traditionally Democratic groups voting Republican in this past election. Are women simply suffering from a mass self-hatred that enticed them to vote for Donald Trump? Or have Democrats made a critical mistake in assuming that abortion is the only issue women care about politically? Kamala Harris bet on winning the women's vote by making reproductive rights the center of her campaign. This strategy isn't new. Hillary Clinton had the same strategy. Barack Obama and other Democrats have used it before. However, this approach has arguably become one of the Democrats' gravest miscalculations, and Harris paid the price. She paid the price. If anything, the burning, liquefying, and dismembering of our tiny citizens did not decide the election. On the Biden White House Facebook page, someone challenged me saying this, a clump of cells is now a citizen? You know what my response was? If you have any doubts, ma'am, ask Scott Peterson why he was charged with double murder in the death of his pregnant wife, Lacey. Over the past 4 years, women have faced the same economic pressures as men, buying groceries, filling up gas tanks, dealing with higher interest rates. It's an American challenge. Men aren't the only ones who care about the economy. And no matter how often politicians chant, my body, my choice, it can't drown out the financial strain of Bidenomics. Women, like men, wanted economic solutions and found them with Donald John Trump. For them, Kamala Harris and my body, my choice were not nearly enough. And let me go on and say this. There is a separate body involved. Just biologically, it's a separate body, a different body with a heartbeat that runs away from those tools that come to rip their bodies apart. Runs away from it. They've shown it. Women, so they know pain. They know pain. So talk about bodies. Let's go there. Women's bodies seem to matter to Democrats only when it comes to abortion. After the COVID pandemic, women have led the push for greater medical autonomy, nutritional transparency, and broader access to holistic, cycle-based healthcare. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. promised to address these issues by holding Big Pharma and Big Food accountable, and women rallied around him in droves. As a matter of fact, he and Trump have already met with some Big Pharma, met with some major food companies, and they're already talking about taking additives out. These additives are not even allowed in other countries. To God be the glory that is being addressed. Instead of supporting RFK Jr. and the women's issues he represented, you know what the Democratic Party did? They labeled him, they came out like gangbusters, they labeled him as anti-vax conspiracy theorist. That's what they call him. Here's an anti-vax conspiracy theorist. Is it any wonder that he galvanized women and they followed him across the aisle to Trump? Democrats also seem indifferent to women's health care standards beyond abortion access. Women are continually overprescribed, in many cases, birth control as a blanket treatment for almost many ailments, wreaking havoc on some of their bodies. When outlets like Evie magazine highlighted how Big Pharma profits from pumping women full of synthetic estrogens, the Washington Post label writers, they said they're just conspiracy theorists. But don't worry, if birth control fails, Democrats, they're going to make sure that you can dismember, burn, and liquefying those little precious babies in the womb. Yet, the My Body, My Choice mantra doesn't seem to apply to, guess what? Women's sports, bathrooms, or in the military where women are fighting the issue of biological men being in the showers with them. The Biden-Harris administration, their presentation in these trainings with military personnel was just deal with it. These women are being traumatized. Kamala Harris might have played Beyonce's song Girls Run the World at her rallies, but when her party cheers for an Algerian man beating elite female athletes or celebrates Leah Thomas while dismissing Riley Gaines as a right-wing extremist, the pretense of women's empowerment becomes hard to believe. See, they're being challenged. They're not intellectually honest, and women are not falling for it anymore. Women are also tired of being told by the woke elite that they're fat phobic. Like when Lizzo, when she's lost a significant amount of weight, but she used to be the poster child as a health and beauty icon, while Adele and Rebel Wilson were criticized for promoting unhealthy beauty standards through their weight loss. They were dissed because they were talking about getting fit, getting healthy, just applauding. People got different weights, but they were applauding. Oh, we just can't have this. According to MSNBC, fitness is a sign of right-wing extremism. This stuff backfired on them, guys. So it's supposedly better to sit on a couch and pop birth control? When Democrats celebrate being an overweight, obesity is not healthy. When that's being celebrated, everybody's at a different level and it's okay. But when they show disdain for a mom who works out, wears dresses, and drinks raw milk, they risk alienating a significant portion of their base. It backfired on them. Good. The Democrats assume women have an obligatory blind allegiance requiring them to support any woman running for office regardless of her policies. Such an assumption that a woman's political capacities are limited to a candidate's sex is not only an insult to women's intelligence, it's frankly anti-feminist. In response to Sunny Hostin, no woman didn't vote for Trump because they are so severe upon their own sex. Like birth control, your party prescribed My Body, My Choice as a cure-all of Biden and Harris's policy failures. Trump's platform actually listened to women. The bottom line, the Democrats took women for granted. This brings us to our clinical perspective tonight. Let's touch upon this quickly because I want us to provoke thought in that area. Is it possible to lose with dignity? Is it? Losing with dignity is a way to accept defeat without giving up and learn from the experience. Losing with dignity is a way to accept defeat without giving up and to learn from the experience and move on. Here's some tips, something to think about regarding losing with dignity. What would happen if you simply acknowledge your feelings? It's okay to feel upset, angry, or disappointed, but you can learn from the situation and move on. What would happen if you accept responsibility, take responsibility for the loss, and don't make excuses? What would happen if you simply acknowledge the winner, congratulate the winner, and shake their hand? What would happen if you learn from the experience, be honest about what you did well in and what you could have done better with? What would happen if you simply maintain your integrity, be dignified in your body, language, and presence? What would happen if you simply respect the other team, respect the effort they put in, and not take cheap shots at them? What would happen if you simply were grateful and be grateful for the opportunity to learn and move on? How can we lose with dignity, my fellow Americans? What would happen if we accept responsibility for the loss? Bow out gracefully, acknowledge the winner, and in some cases, even support the winner. What can we have common grounds on? Learn from the loss, and guess what? Move on. What have we looked at tonight? We've looked at being emotionally mature, and we've looked at Americans in a politically charged America. And our clinical perspective is just examining how to lose with dignity. Listen, we are one nation under God. We are indivisible with liberty and justice for all. We are endeavoring to support one another, flow together as one another, one nation under God, forming a more perfect union, which means we're simply flowing together as one. You know why? Because we are going forward. We're believing God for the best because we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Y'all know I love America. I love you. Why? You are my fellow citizens. I don't look at us as Democrats, Republicans, Independents. I look at us as Americans that want our country to do great. We're going to keep coming back because, listen, we're one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to pray for our nations, pray for our states, pray for the White House, pray for the Congress, pray for the GOP trifecta, pray for America as we go together from destruction to dignity, clinical perspectives, spiritual truths. I will see you next week. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
We are one power, strength is ours, liberty, been set free, education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation.